Okay, so what we're going to do is I've given you a test study guide. It is 25 questions, just like the 25 questions that will be on your test tomorrow. So we're going to go through each one, and we're going to work them out together so you know exactly what to expect for tomorrow's test. Okay, the first 4 questions on the test, these are exact test questions. I really can't get any easier than that. They want you to write out the formula for each one. Okay, so who can raise your hand and tell me what the slope-intercept form is? Tyler?
Y equals mx plus b.
Very good. Y equals mx plus b. Who can raise your hand and tell me what the slope is? Justin?
M equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1.
Very good. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Desiree, what's the point slope formula?
Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1.
And what's standard form, Drayshawn?
X plus by equals c.
Very good. AX plus BY equals C. So not only do you have to know these for the first 4 questions, but you will be required to use these formulas throughout the whole test, okay? So each one of these are worth 4 points. So right here is a total of 16 points. That's the difference from a 100 to an 86 on your test, just by having these formulas memorized. You don't even have to know how to do any math. Okay? I mean, it's the difference between a 100 and an 84, sorry. Okay, so the next problem, the next type of problems that you have on your test are write the equation in slope-intercept form. Well, first of all, right above it, you should have written the slope-intercept form. So what is the slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. Very good. There are 2 things that you have to have in order to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Drayshawn, what are they?
M and b.
M and b. M is what? Slope. And b is the y-intercept. Well, let's look at what they gave us. Did they give me the slope? Yeah, it's 2. Did they give me the b or the y-intercept? Yeah, it's 7. So all you are doing on these problems is plugging the numbers into the right spot. These are some of the easiest questions on the test. So you are just going to write y equals 2x plus 7. And that's your final answer. So this was like what we did in 5.1. Okay, this was our very starting point. They said, here's the M, here's the B. You just put it into the right spots. So number 6 is the exact same way. What are the 2 things I have to know to write an equation in slope-intercept? M and B. What is my M? -5. What is my B? 14. So how do I write my final answer?
Plus 14.
Perfect. Here's the one mistake that I see on this section of the test every year is people put this y-intercept because they see the letter y in for the y at the beginning of the equation. And that's not where the y-intercept goes. The y-intercept is b. Okay? Does anybody have any questions over these problems? All right. Next type of problems that we have, write the equations in slope-intercept form. So we're doing the exact same thing. I have to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Well, first of all, what slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. What are the 2 things I have to know in order to write an equation in slope-intercept? M and b. So let's look at what they gave us. They gave us what? M, right? It says m equals -5. But did they give us b? No. They gave us an ordered pair. What's the ordered pair stand for? X, comma, y. So if I go back to this formula right here and I look at it, they gave me a y, they gave me an m, and they gave me an x, but I'm missing the b. So what I can do is I can plug in what I know and solve for b. So Dawson, tell me what you plugged in and where.
You plug in 12 for y,
Mm-hmm.
-5 for M,
Uh-huh.
10 for X, and then plus B.
Perfect. Very good. So we just used the formula y equals mx plus b and plugged in what I know. So now it's just a simple solve the equation problem like what we did back in chapter 3. So -5 times 10 is -50 plus b. Now what do I do?
Just add 50.
Add 50. And what does b equal? 62. So now do I have the two things that I need to write an equation? Yep. And what's my final answer?
Y equals -5x plus 62.
Perfect. -5x plus 62. Here's the major mistake that I see on this one. People try to plug in the 12 for y and the 10 for x in the final answer. And you cannot do that, okay? You cannot plug in the x and y because we want to leave it x and y for the final answer. So I can plug in other ordered pairs if I wanted to say, is it a solution or not? All right? So the next one we're going to do the exact same way. What are the two things I have to write an equation in slope-intercept form?
M and B.
M and B. They gave us which one?
Slope
M. What else did they give us? X and Y. They did not give us B. So I'm going to take y equals mx plus b and I'm going to plug in the numbers. Tyson, tell me what did you plug in and where?
The -2 and the 0. I put the -2 and the X.
Okay, so you did 0 equals,
Negative, no, 6, and then parenthesis -2.
and then you finish it off with what?
Just B.
Plus b. Very good. Okay. So what do I do now? Multiply. 0 equals -12 plus b. Here is the mistake that I see over and over and over. People go, okay, b equals -12. No, b is not alone. It does not say this equals b or b equals this. So I have to do what to the -12 to move it to the other side? Add 12. And what does b equal?
12.
Positive 12. If you tell me b equals -12, the whole thing is wrong because you're telling me that my y-intercept is all the way down at -12, but really it's all the way up at positive 12. So how do I write my final answer? Y equals 6x plus 12. Very good. Okay, does anybody have any questions over these? All right, let's move on to the next ones. So the next problem is, are the lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Well, in order to know if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, I've got to know what parallel lines have, what perpendicular lines have, and what makes them that way, okay? So what do we know about parallel lines?
Same slope.
They have the same slope. Write that down. I'm going to write it right here. Parallel means same slope. What about perpendicular? What do perpendicular lines have?
Opposite and reciprocal.
Very good. They have opposite and reciprocal what? Slopes. So opposite and reciprocal. Not one or the other, but it has to be both. Okay. In order to tell if a line is parallel, perpendicular, or neither, what form does that line have to be in? Slope-intercept form. If it's not in slope-intercept form, I can't say, oh, this is my slope, because I don't know. It's not in the correct form. So on number 9, let's look at, is it in slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. Yep, it is. So what is my slope in the first part? -6. Remember, we don't ever write the x with it. It's just the number, -6. But then I look at the second equation. Is that in slope-intercept form? No. So what do I need to do to get what letter by itself?
Need to
Add 6x because we want to get what letter by itself? Y. Can I add 6x and 42 and get 48x? No. They're not like terms. So y equals 6x plus 42. Now, what is my slope?
positive 6.
M equals positive 6. So, are they parallel? Do they have the same slope? No. Are they perpendicular? No. They have opposites. One's positive, one's negative. But they're not reciprocals. One would have to be negative 6 and the other one would have to be positive 1 over 6. So what are these lines? Neither. So on the next one here, can I just look and say, oh, the m is 3 and then the m on the other one is 7? No, because what form do they have to be in? Slope intercept. So what would I do to the 3x to move it over? Subtract 3x. And I get 7y equals negative 3x plus 5. Now divide by 7 because y is still not alone. And I get y is equal to negative 3 over 7x plus 5 over 7. So what is the m, or the slope, in this equation? Negative 3 over 7. So let's do the next one so we can figure out what that slope is. What would I do first? Subtract 7x. Very good. Negative 3y equals negative 7x plus 6. Then I divide by negative 3. And I get y is equal to positive 7 over 3, because the two negatives being divided makes it a positive, minus 2, because 6 divided by negative 3. So what is the slope in this equation? 7 over 3. So Dawson, what type of equations are these?
Perpendicular.
Perpendicular. How did you know that?
Because they're the reciprocal.
And what else?
The opposite.
They're opposite. One is positive, one is negative, and they're both reciprocals. 3 over 7, 7 over 3. Okay, so these lines are perpendicular. So perpendicular is your final answer here. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on these problems before we move on? All right, so now we're going right back to slope-intercept form. The whole first page of your test is putting equations in slope-intercept form. It's not anything different. So what is slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. What are the two things I have to know to write an equation in slope-intercept form? M and b. Well, let's look here, because this is the third step in our three-step process. The first one, when we did questions 5 and 6, said write it in slope-intercept form. They gave you M, they gave you B. Then, in 7 and 8, they gave you M, and they did not give you B. So now, in 11 through 13, they don't give us M, and they don't give us B. We have to know how to find a slope and a y-intercept when you're only given 2 points, without graphing, because we don't want to graph them. So what can I do to find the slope? What formula do you know? Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I can use the 2 points that I have and plug it in and find a slope. So I'm going to do, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So negative 4 minus 2 over 8 minus 6. What's negative 4 minus 2? Dawson?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. What is 8 minus 6? Positive 2. Should I leave this negative 6 over 2? No. Reduce it to a whole number. What's the whole number? Negative 3. So now I know my M. right? So I'm going to write m equals -3. Do I know the b? No. So what I have to do now is I have to find the b. Well, now I'm back in the same spot that I was on questions 7 and 8, where they said, here's your m, here's a point, find b. On this one, though, they give us 2 points. Which one do I want to use?
First one.
We can use the first one, or I can use the second one. It really doesn't matter. You can use whichever one, and you will get the same b. So let's use the first one since they're both positive numbers. Which one is y? 2. So I'm going to have 2 equals, what's my m? -3. What's my x? 6 plus b. 2 equals -18. We just multiply. And then what do I do to get b all alone? Add 18. And what does b equal? 20. Write it right up here. So how would I write my final answer? Y equals, Dawson?
-3x plus 20.
Perfect. Very good. -3x plus 20. You do not want to plug in numbers for x and y. You want to leave them blank. Okay? So now on the next one, I'm going to do the exact same thing. What do I have to find first? M. Okay? What is the m? How do I find it? M equals 4 minus what? 2 over 2 plus 5. Very good, because it would be minus -5, and a double negative equals a positive. So what's 4 minus 2? 2. What's 2 plus 5? 7. So now I know my m. There's half my problem. Right here. M equals 2 over 7. What do I still need? B. Which ordered pair do y'all want to use? The first one or the second one? Second, okay? So we're going to do 4 equals 2 over 7 times 2 plus B. Now, first of all, let me back up. Is it okay to have a fraction as your slope?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, because what is a slope? Rise over run. So we would go up 2 over 7. All right? Now what would I do? Multiply. What's 2 over 7 times 2? 4 over 7. Now, how would I get B all alone? Subtract 4 over 7. You do not multiply by the reciprocal because the fraction is not being multiplied by B. All right, so we subtract 4 over 7. What is 4 minus 4 over 7?
So multiply the 2 and then 2 over 7. The 7 stays the same.
Yeah. Who's got it? 24 over 7. Very good. That would be something that you would probably want to plug in your calculator because you're going to have common denominators and everything like that. It's not just going to be -4 and 4/7. It doesn't work like that, okay? So how would I write my final answer? Y equals
3 sevens, negative 3 sevens x plus 24 sevens.
24 over 7. Okay. How did I get 24 over 7? So when you subtract 4 and minus 4/7, so what you have to have is a common denominator. And if you type it in your calculator do the work for you. But if you don't, that would mean I would need to make 4 with a common denominator. So technically it's 4 over 1, so I'd have to multiply both by 7. 28 over 7 minus 4 over 7. And that's how I got 24 over 7. If you wanted to do it without a calculator. Okay? Last one. Let's do the last one like this. What are the 2 things that I have to have in order to write an equation in slope-intercept form? M and B. What do I start off by doing? Finding M. So I'm going to do M equals 3 minus 2 over 6 minus 4. What's 3 minus 2? 1. What's 6 minus 4? So what's my slope? 1/2. How would I find B?
Plug it in.
Plug in, which point do y'all want to use? First one or second one? First. So 2 is y, so 2 equals m is 1/2 times x, which is 4, plus b. What's 1/2 times 4? What's half of 4? 2. Now what would I do? Subtract 2. And what is b going to equal? 0. Is 0 okay to get as a b? Yeah, because it's a place on a graph, right? Could I find could I find 0 on the y-axis? Yeah, it's at the origin, so I'd place my point up 1 over 2. So, y equals 1/2 x plus 0. That's how you find slope-intercept form, without any slope and any b. So the next type of problems, we're changing the equation that they want us to solve for. We are finished at this point with slope-intercept form, and we're going to move to standard form. Well, what is standard form?
AX plus BY equals C.
AX plus BY equals C. Standard form has 2 rules that it has to follow in order to be in standard form. What are those 2 rules? No fractions at all in any part. And what's the second rule? A is not negative. What about B or C? Can that be negative?
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Not a problem. Okay? So no fractions and A is not negative. So let's look at the first problem here. Standard form is an order in which we write an equation. So it needs to be AX, BY equals C. So I have AX right here. BY. Is my equals next? No. C. So which one of these numbers is out of place? The positive 9. So what do I do to move them to the other side? Subtract 9. 7x minus 1y equals negative 9. So let's ask ourselves. Now everything's in order, right? AX, BY equals C. Does it follow my 2 rules? Are there any fractions? No. Is A a negative number? Nope. So this is my final answer in standard form. So let's look at the next one.
So we're not solving anything, we're just writing.
Nope, just write the equation in the correct form. Okay? Y equals 5 over 7x minus 1. Which one of these terms is out of order? 5 over 7x. Because the y is on the correct side of the equals. The negative 1 is on the correct side of the equals. But the 5 over 7x needs to be moved over here to the other side of the equation. Well, in order to move 5 over 7x, what do I have to do? Subtract 5 over 7x. Why am I subtracting? To get it on the other side, but why didn't I add? Because 5 over 7 is a positive, so I have to do the opposite, which is subtract. So now I have negative 5, and I'm going to write it over here to this side, negative 5 over 7x plus 1y equals negative 1. Don't forget about the negative in front of the 1. So now, is it in standard form? No. I've got the right order, AX, BY equals C, but I do not have the 2 rules. No fractions, I got a fraction, and A is negative. Okay? So, what can I multiply by to take care of both of those rules at one time? Jonathan? Negative 7. Why did you choose negative 7? Why didn't you choose negative 10 or 25 or anything else?
Because you have to divide the 7 by another 7 cancel it out.
Okay, whatever the number in the denominator is the number that we choose to multiply by. So my denominator is 7, so I choose 7. I made it a negative so that when I multiply it by that first term, 2 negatives multiplied equals a positive. But whatever I do to one term, I have to do to every other term in the equation. So then the 7's cancel out. What's a negative times a negative? Positive. So 5x, all right? Would I make that 35x? No, because the 7's cancel out. It's not multiplied by 5. Then negative 7y equals positive 7. Is it in standard form now? Yes, it is. ax by equals c, no fractions, and a is not negative. So let's look at the next one. What's out of order here?
The Y.
Actually, the y is on the correct side. The x needs to move to the front. What else needs to move? The 5 needs to come back here to the other side. So what can I do to the 1/3 x to move it to the other side? Subtract it. So it's going to be negative 1/3 x plus 2/3 y. What do I do to the 5 to move it to the other side? Subtract it. And that's how I got negative 5. I did not show my work on that. Does anybody need me to go back and show work so you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so what I did there is I subtracted 5, so it cancels out, and I moved it here. And then I subtracted 1/3 x, so it cancels out, and it moves up here. So now let me look at my rules. Are there fractions? Yeah. Is a negative? Yep. So what would I have to multiply by to make it a positive and get rid of the fraction? Negative 3. And I multiply everything by negative 3. So then the 3's cancel out, and I'm left with 1x. Then the 3's cancel out, and I'm left with what type of y? Negative 2y. Here's what I saw yesterday on the quiz. A lot of people forgot about that negative sign with the 3. And then negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. So here's my equation in standard form. So then the next type of equations that we're going to deal with, they want us to write the equation in standard form. These were not on your quiz yesterday, but they will be on your test tomorrow, okay? So I want everybody to pay close attention to these. Write an equation in standard form. Hint, start with the point-slope form. I was even so nice as to give you a hint, okay? First of all, what standard form? ax plus by equals c. Usually with standard form, they give us an equation and we just have to reorder it and make sure it follows the rules. But on this one, they didn't give us an equation. They gave us a point and a slope. So which problem, or which formula, I guess I should say, do you know that only needs a point and a slope? Point slope. Hint, hello, point slope form. So what is point slope form? Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I can plug everything I know into these problems. So this is x1, y1, and m. So I have y minus 7 equals 5 times x minus 0. Now I actually have an equation to work with. So now I can work on reordering it into standard form, because my answer is not supposed to be in point slope. I underlined on the test every type of equation that I want you to have your final answer in. So standard form's underlined, so you know it has to be ax plus by equals c. What would I do? Distributive property. Very good, because I want to start simplifying this. So y, I'm going to write it over here to the side, minus 7 equals 5x minus what? 0. Don't tell me that 5 times 0 is 5. Now, I need it in standard form. Is this standard form?
No.
No. What's out of order? The 5x. What would I do to the 5x to move it up to the front? Subtract 5x because it's a positive. Also add 7. Perfect, because I want it to combine with its like term, and it's got to move to the back. So now I have negative 5x plus 1y equals 7. Is it in standard form? No. I've got the right order, and I don't have any fractions, but a is negative. What do I multiply a by to make it a positive? Negative 1. Well, when I multiply a by negative 1, what do I have to do to everything else? Multiply it by negative 1. So now I have, why didn't I, I'm sorry, let me go back for a second. Why didn't I choose to multiply by negative 5? It would have changed the number. I would have got positive 25x, and I don't want that. We only multiply by a number when I have a denominator, okay? So 5x minus 1y equals negative 7. Now it's in standard form. I know my answer is correct. All right, so let's do the next one. They want it in standard form. Did they even give me an equation to work with? No. So what form do I start out with? Point slope, because they give us a point and they give us a slope. So y minus 4 equals negative 2 times x plus 9. Very good, because it would be minus negative 9. So now we, distributive property, y minus 4 equals negative 2x minus 18. What do I need to move? Negative 4, so we're going to add 4 to both sides. What else? Negative 2x needs to be added. So now I have 2x plus 1y equals negative 14. Is it in standard form? Does it follow all the rules?
Yep.
Yes, it does. All right. Does anybody have any questions over standard form? So then the next type of problems that you have on your test says write the equation in point-slope form. Write the equation in point-slope form. Well, what's point-slope form?
Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1.
Very good. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. What are the two things I need to know to write an equation in point-slope form? Not m and b. That was slope-intercept. A point and a slope. It tells you in the name of the equation exactly what you need. So did they give us a point? Yeah, they actually gave us 2. Did they give us a slope? No. What formula do you know to find slope? M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we can plug in exactly what I know to find the slope. 5 minus negative 7, so that's going to become plus 7, over 2 minus negative 6, which is plus 6. What's 5 plus 7? 12. What's 2 plus 6? 8. Time out. If you leave your slope as 12 over 8, I will take points off. Because you are in the 9th grade, you should know that 12 over 8 has to be what? Reduced. What am I going to reduce it by? 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So that is my reduced slope. If you do not reduce it, you will not get full credit. All right? Now, do I know a point? Yeah. Do I know a slope? Yep. So I can write my final answer. Which point do you want to use? The first one. I always want you to use the first one.
Can we do the second?
So now, no, I want you to use the first one. So we're going to do y minus y1, which is plus, equals 3 over 2 times x plus 6. Do not distribute. Do not try to simplify or anything like that, because this is your final answer. It has to be in point-slope form. So then on the next one, we have to have a what and a what to write an equation in point slope form. A point and a slope. They gave us a point. They actually gave us 2, but they did not give us a slope. So how do I find slope? M equals -3 plus 8 over 1 plus 9. What's -3 plus 8? 5. What's 1 plus 9? 10. What's 5 over 10 reduced? 1/2. Which one of these points do I want to use to write my final answer? First one. Y plus 8 equals 1/2 times x plus 9. Don't distribute. Don't try to simplify because that takes it out of point slope form. It has to be in point slope form. Okay? Next type of problems. These are just like those first problems that we did. Okay? Write the equation in point slope form. First of all, what are the 2 things I have to know to write an equation in point slope form? A point and a slope. Did they give us a point? Yeah. Did they give us a slope? Yes. So all I have to do is plug it in. Y plus 6 equals 3 times x plus 5. Is it in point slope form now? Yep. This is my answer. Don't make it more difficult than that. It's easy. So then, how would I write the next one? Y plus 3 equals 0 times x plus 4. I'm sorry, minus 4. You're right. My fault. Minus 4. Very good. Okay. So the last 3 type of problems that you have on your test are the slopes. State whether they have a positive, negative, or no correlation. So what I have to do is I have to see where does it start and where does it end. So I look from left to right. It starts up top and ends on the bottom. So what type of slope is that? Negative. What type of slope is this?
No correlation.
None, because there is no slope. So I'm just write none. And then we have to look where it starts at the bottom and ends at the top, so it's positive. Hold on 1 second. Okay. That is the review for the test that you will have on, or tomorrow, 5.1 to 5.6.